as she's walking away, post-hug, I'm like, this was the best day of my life. And she turns around and goes, she like brushes off the person that she's supposed to be taking a selfie with. Sorry, you're not as cool as me. But she like turns around and she goes, no, the best day of your life was when you woke up. I don't remember that day, so I wouldn't say it was the best day of my life. But she goes, no. And I loved that. Amazing. Almost dying taught me how to live. Being struck by a car left me in a 3.5-week coma with 15 broken bones and 16 surgeries to complete, including brain surgery. However, I woke up from that coma in an even greater place than I ever foresaw for myself. How? The universe will guide you out of the darkness and into the light if you allow it. Often, spirituality comes off as too highbrow. I'm not about that. Welcome to the podcast that talks and teaches about it through the lens of humor. Together, we'll harness positive energy and use it to work with the universe, all while giggling the entire time. Welcome to Gabriella Rebranded. Win most, lose some. My God, I've told this story so many times. Yeah, it's cool. People want to hear it. Taylor Swift met me because I was hit by a car. I didn't meet Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift met me because I was hit by a car. It's very cool. People want to hear it. I give the fans what they want. I'm going to give you guys that story. But first, let's, check the things off the to-do list of spiritual moment of the week and content rec. So my spiritual moment of the week, and this is like a really small one, but it was so like the universe is, I was going to see a movie with my friends. And we were going to the Hollywood Vista Theater. It's owned by Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino. And it's a theater that's like, the traditional film. You watch it on 70 millimeters. And it's like a 400-person capacity theater. And my friends had gotten tickets before, but I was invited a little later because bitches fucking hate me. No, I'm kidding. But when I looked, it was sold out, but it was a 400-person capacity. So I was like, all right, let me show up and see if something happens. And I was sure that one person of the 400 wouldn't show up and I could get into the theater. But we were going and I was really chill about the whole thing, which normally that's something that I think would make me anxious because I like to have a plan. But I thought it was really important that I was there because one of friends that I was with is just going through some life shit. So I thought it was important that I was there. And I brought my book in my little bag and I found a coffee shop that was nearby because we were going to get dinner after the movie. And I said, if I don't get into the theater, I'll read my book at the coffee shop. It's all good and just really chill. Sure enough, we're walking into the theater. It is not easy to get a ticket, even though it's a 400-person theater. It's not that easy. And I'm walking and they're like, yeah, you can try at the box office, but I don't think there's any left. And I'm like, okay. It just so happens that the two people behind me are like, we have an extra ticket. And I was like, oh my God, that is the universe, that the two people behind me as I'm entering have an extra ticket. And then in that situation, I got to see the movie for free. So anyway, that was the universe supporting me because, I think it was supporting me because I was so chill about the whole thing. And I had my book. I found a coffee shop that was nearby. And I was just like, if they let me in, they let me in, which normally I think I'd be very anxious. So yes, roll with it. Let life happen. The universe is always supporting you. It's always working out for you. And then my content rec. So it's not supporting spiritual growth in such an obvious way. So medical TV shows and movies, they get it fucking wrong. And my father, who's a doctor, absolutely hates medical TV shows like Grey's Anatomy because they just get it so wrong. But my ER doctor, Dr. Carl Bertle, I met him at my launch. He came to my launch event, which was incredible because he literally saved my life. He literally saved my life. He got me from a level 3 coma on the Glasgow scale, which is the lowest you can be and still be alive, up to a 11 within 20, 30 minutes. Like, he is the reason I'm alive. My mom started sobbing when I introduced him to her because we never met him. I mean, the ER, the way it works is like you get in, they do the shit on you, and then they never see you again. But I reached out to him and invited him to my launch because my dad, as a doctor, wanted to see my ER report and was like, this man saved your life. So I invited him to my launch on a whim, and he actually came, which was incredible. And it was the first time I was meeting him, my family was meeting him. So when I introduced him to my mom, she instantly burst into tears. And my dad, like, instantly hugged him. And my dad isn't a hugger. It was a really beautiful moment. But anyway, he was telling us that the show, The Pit on HBO Max, he actually likes, and it's about the ER. And he said it's an actually accurate reflection of being in the ER. So I watched it. So every episode is an hour. So it's one day of ER life. And every episode, it's like 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And it's just one day of the ER. And I think it's just really interesting. It was like some parts were a little hard for me to watch. You guys will get why when you watch it. But I think it's really interesting to see how that works. And I think it's really that there are people who they just deal with seeing death multiple times a day. And the mental space you need to be in. And I think you'll have more empathy for doctors if you watch that show. But I also think in some cases, doctors need to have more empathy for patients. There's a lot that needs to be talked about and needs to be adjusted. But watch the show. I just watch the show. It gives you an interesting look at death. That's it. Anyway, now that we're done talking death, let's talk Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is a fan of the Gabriella in the Gabriella Rebranded podcast. She's happy I'm here. And luckily, hashtag manifesting, after this day happened, I recorded a voice memo called Meeting Taylor Swift, my 20-minute podcast. That's literally what I named it. See, look at it. October 12th, 2023. See? October 12th, 2023. And I recorded this the day it happened so I would remember all the details. And actually the day this all happened was October 11th, but I recorded this after midnight. So it says October 12th. And then I restructured this into a story that was for a storytelling workshop that was hosted by The Moth via Love Your Brain that I was invited to participate in. But that story, while it was beautiful, it could only be max 5 minutes because, we were all staring stories. And this is my own damn podcast. So I get to give you guys more than 5 minutes and give you guys a little bit more of a glimpse and share a little bit more. So yes, it all happened on October 11th, less than a week before the second anniversary of my accident. And obviously the universe played a role. Nothing's a coincidence. And what I really overarchingly want to get across to you with this story is that this story is the core message of this podcast, using what you have to work with the universe rather than focusing on what you don't. This story really shows that. So please take that. Out of the worst thing in my life came the best thing in my life thus far. I've loved Taylor Swift forever, including when it wasn't cool to love Taylor Swift. Now it's cool, but it used to not be cool. I've been to every tour she has ever had. Her first headlining tour, Fearless, was my first concert in 2010. The Fearless album, which came out in 2008, was the first album I ever bought. And the first concert, Fearless, in 2010. I had just turned 12. I was in the 6th grade. It was at Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale on Long Island. TBT, because the Nassau Coliseum doesn't exist anymore. Since then, I have been to every single tour she's ever had. I've hit every single one. And I used to dress up in the most crazy costumes and make light up signs to get into. She would have these little things after the concert where she would meet fans. She used to call it the Tea Party. Then she called it Club Red. Then she called it Loft 89. Bitch kept changing the name. But it was, you would meet her after the show, but it wasn't like you paid for a ticket. It was like fans were scouted from the crowd for like showing their Taylor Swift spirit. So I would go hard on my outfits and light up signs and costumes. Like, I always wanted to meet her. I've literally been manifesting meeting Taylor Swift since I was 10 years old. And it took 15 years. but it fucking happened. Like, I went hard with my outfits, but so did everyone else. When Taylor Swift was canceled by Kim K, I died on the hill defending her, regardless if anyone would or wouldn't listen. I screamed that shit into the void. And my story, what happened to me, I'm not shy about it, in case you guys couldn't tell by this podcast that I have. That doesn't even need to be stated. But I've always loved talking about myself so much. And if anyone asks me a question, 7-minute monologue, that's the rule, not the exception. I'm a Sagittarius rising. Taylor Swift is a Sagittarius sun. We both have that in common. I'm an Aries sun, so double fire sign. I love the spotlight, just like Taylor. The other thing we have in common is I'm a Scorpio moon and she's a Scorpio rising. So Taylor and I, there's a lot of similar personality traits between Taylor and I, but including the love of the spotlight. And the best thing about being punted by a mini SUV is I'm always the main character. Like literally always. It's the best. And Taylor Swift would probably agree that that's a great part. And when I gained consciousness and more so understanding of what happened to me, considering it took my mom like 6 times of telling me I was hit by a car for me to understand I was hit by a car, I thought, this wasn't my first thought, but it was in the first few. I thought this terrible thing had happened to me that was going to prevent me for the rest of my life from making normal lifelong memories, especially my 20s. I mean, I'm still making lifelong memories, but like having your eyes stitched closed is just like a little bit different from the euphoric rush that comes from riding Disney's Tower of Terror, which I can never do a fucking again. Like I suppose they're like on the same level in terms of the overstimulation, but in terms of the euphoria, the eyes stitched closed, no, it's just not there. So I have to make everything positive that I can out of this experience because I've lost out on so many other positive things because of this thing that's happened to me. The universe left me with one option, okay? I have this clusterfuck. I have it. That's a fact. Make it good or make what you can good, I guess. And I get what I want. That's always been a thing about me. I get what I want. I wanted to live when I had an over 99% chance of dying. I made that happen. They told me the right side of my body would always be weaker than the left side because I hurt the left side of my brain. I murder myself at the gym every day to keep it balanced because I didn't like that diagnosis. I didn't like the diagnosis that one side of my body would always be weaker. I've wanted to meet Taylor Swift when I was 10, and I found a way to make that happen. I met her. And not only did I meet her, I met her in 2023, mid-Eras Tour. So when she was at her peak fame, okay? 2023, mid-Eras Tour, that was when it was the hardest to meet her. But an Aries loves a challenge. So naturally, I won that fucking challenge. And here's how I did it. After a brain injury, I'm still fucking smart. And I devised a master plan. Taylor was coming to LA to tour Eras, right? Okay. And a couple months before she came to LA to tour Eras, I scoured the internet for, I don't want to say whose email because I don't want everyone to go and do it, but someone on her team's email. I scoured the internet for this email. And I had, a few important tidbits that I wanted to advertise. And everything I'm about to tell you is true. None of this is embellished. It's all 100% true. I thought, if I advertise these tidbits in the right way, I could maybe get upgraded concert tickets to the most iconic, record-breaking, lengthy show ever. Like, that would be incredible. Or maybe just a signed calendar. Beggars can't be choosers. But like, hopefully I'd get something. Something had to be possible. It had to be. So the tidbits I was advertising are as follows. My mom, okay, she wasn't allowed to play music with lyrics while I was taking my nap in my coma. She wasn't allowed to play music. I don't know, the brain's high maintenance while it's healing. So she played instrumental Taylor Swift for the duration that I was comatose. I was moved out of the ICU to the regular hospital on the day an album of hers, Red Taylor's version, came out. And Here is the PR wet dream. I told my guy that my editor Nick that Shake It Off was going to play a role in this. The PR wet dream is that my mom had a video of my brother dancing for me while I'm in my hospital bed to Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. I'm like trying to dance back, but I had a quarter of a brain at this point. So my dancing is just like swaying with my arms up, but my brother's dancing for me. So I knew this video. I knew that like that is a PR. Like I knew they were going to eat that up. So I put it all into an email, okay? And I send it out to the person that this is on her team's email. And I figure like it's a long shot because she's probably getting thousands of emails a day, but you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you got to shoot all the shots no matter how long because eventually one's going to land. I don't hear anything back though. So I think good effort, but that's it. So Taylor comes to LA for the Eras tour. I go twice. Be jealous of me. Both my tickets were face value. I know, but I didn't spend thousands. I spent less than $250, and I was in the 200 section for both, not in the 400 sections. Face value tickets. One time I go with my friend Paige, one time I go with my friend Amy. And at this point, I've entirely forgotten about the email that I sent to the person on her team. And Paige, for clarification, she is the other half of the infamous Dinner at Isabel. Shouting out Isabel because it's a great restaurant and those valets saved my life. But Paige she's my current roommate, one of my best friends, and she's the other half of that sequence of events. So I go to the concert, entirely have forgotten about this email. And it's a legendary concert. It's over 3 hours. It's broken like 86 records. Taylor Swift is incredible. Like, I don't even need to say that the concert was amazing. No concert will ever compare. Like, even if an artist does eventually try to compete and put on a show that's similar, like, it won't compare because Taylor Swift did it first. That's the reality of the situation. Taylor Swift did it first, and they'll just be trying to catch up. And that's Eras, and that's Taylor Swift. So flash forward to September 2023. Eras was in August. I'm minding my own business, and I get an email from Taylor Nation, her fan club, that I'm invited to the Eras Tour concert movie premiere. And I assume I was selected because I live in the LA area and the movie is premiering in LA. And also, again, I've been to every tour. So I've been signed up for her fan club, like her emailing list, since I was like 10 years old. So I assume that like that increased my likelihood. I don't know. This is just me putting reason into why I received this gift. But the email clarifies that not everyone who's invited is going to actually go. You have to RSVP, and only a few people will be selected because seating is very limited. So I RSVP, but I don't think I'm going to go because I RSVP like 3 hours after I got the email. So I'm like, it's probably filled by this point. But I still try. We're allowed to bring a +1. And I RSV Paige as my +1. Like, she's one of my best friends. She lives in LA. Like, we've gotten way, way, way closer since she was the other half of that dinner. And, you know, this whole invite was because of that dinner. It was because of the universe reflecting on me. So RSVP, but I don't hear anything back from them. And Paige, actually, one of the first things we became friends over when we were freshmen in college in 2016 at USC was that we both cried in soul cycle classes to Taylor Swift. That's like one of the first things we became friends over. So like she was just an obvious +1 for me. So I RSVP both of us, but I don't hear anything back. And yeah. So I go to New York in the beginning of October 2023. And I'm pretty sure it was for concerts for my 5th eye surgery, but final surgery overall, 16 out of 16. So really like a really big surgery and a really, really good one. And I'm in New York and I'm with my mom. And the movie premiere it's coming out. It's released to the public on October 13th. 13's her lucky number, but the premiere is the 11th. So my mom is like, have you heard anything back from them? And I'm like, no, I haven't heard anything back. And my mom's like, you should email her fan club just to like check and see if you missed something. And I'm like, no, like, I'm sure they would get in contact with me if I did. And my mom was like, either way, if you email them, it can't hurt and it will show them that you care. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that. So I email her fan club to be like, hey, I haven't heard anything. Neither is my guest, just checking in, blah, blah, blah. Her fan club responds back and they're like, oh, you haven't gotten anything from us? And I was like, no. They're like, well, you were supposed to yesterday. And I was like, well, there was a glitch in the simulation because I did it. And that's why I'm emailing you. And they're like, okay, you'll get something tomorrow. And at this point, I'm like, were we invited? Because why would they need us to get something if we weren't invited, you know? So I'm like, oh my God, like, are we invited? Am I going to the Eras Tour movie premiere? Sure enough, the next day, I get the email, I'm fucking invited to the Eras Tour movie premiere, and therefore so is Paige. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm supposed to go back to New York that Friday. I'm suddenly moving my flight up to jet set back to LA that Monday. The movie premiere is on Wednesday. Like, obviously I'm going to this, and I can't, this is gonna be so great. Like, ask and you will receive. I asked them why I hadn't heard anything, and they gave me tickets. I received tickets. You heard that right. So amazing. But they didn't give us any information, okay? Basically, they only told us that we were seeing the movie the day it premiered, 2 days before it was released to the general public on October 11th. They didn't clarify if we were going to the actual premiere itself. Like, I didn't know if we were going to be seeing a screening at a different location or if we were just seeing it 2 days before it was released to the general public. They didn't clarify that. And we also didn't even know if Taylor was going to be at this movie premiere. That hadn't been announced. And she was in the middle of touring Eras. So we didn't even know if she herself was going to be at her movie premiere. And they didn't even give us the location. They told us that we would receive the location a few hours before. And also, even more so, it wasn't even announced what the location of the main premiere was. That hadn't been announced yet. So it was truly like I might be flying back to LA for like kind of nothing. It was like, I might be flying back to LA to watch a movie of a concert that I already saw twice. Like, there was no guarantee. I was cautiously optimistic, but there was no guarantee. Like, I was cautious and tentative about my excitement because if I was going to the actual premiere itself, that would be a top 10 moment in my life for sure. As of this point in my life, it's the best moment that I've ever had. But who knows what my future holds? But like, I was holding myself back from feeling that joy because I didn't want to get my hopes up. And I was also simultaneously battling severe PTSD. Yeah, I was having really traumatic flashbacks from when I was 15 and I went to the One Direction This Is Us global movie premiere. This one's going to be hard for me. Like, this is going to be a little hard for me to talk about. Like, this event, it created PTSD stronger than the Nissan, okay? It created the PTSD. Like, I'm overheating just talking about it. Like, do you see what I have to do? Like, it was so, like, should I pull my hair up? I'm getting anxious. Like, just for this reflection, like this is really hard for me. Okay. Those tickets, all right? They were my Sweet 16 present. The tickets to the This Is Us One Direction global movie premiere. Even though I was like 8 months out from turning 16, they were my technicalities. They were my Sweet 16 present. Fuck a party. I'm going to One Direction's movie premiere, okay? This ticket is $500, okay? And I brought 2 friends because Sweet 16. So all in all, I spent $1,500. And by I mean my parents, because I was a young child still living off my parents at this point. And my parents were essentially robbed of that $1,500, okay? This fucking horrible, miserable excuse of a premiere. The entire thing was mismarketed to us youths. Like, you know One Direction's fan base. It was 90% girls below the age of 18, teens and tweens, who were going to this event and buying these tickets. And like, this is who they chose to lie to. This is the group that they chose to scam. And like, this is the group that One Direction chose to prey on. And I know not the boys specifically. And like, I know my King Harry would never do that to me. Like, I know my baby would never do that to me, but One Direction's team or whoever organized this, like, they gave me trauma. Heartless sociopaths. And this experience, like, guys, it made me stop liking them, okay? That's how bad this event was. It made me stop liking them. And I loved these boys. I would have taken 5 bullets, one for each of them. Like, I love these boys. And this premiere is what made me say goodbye to them, which my parents were really fucking happy about because their existence had dictated my life for over 2 years. But my family was supposed to go to Turks and Caicos the week of this premiere, right? They moved the trip up. They moved the trip up a week because I threw that level of a temper tantrum about how I needed to go to the premiere. And my family knew that if they didn't concede to me, I would cry the entire time we were in Turks and Caicos and complain forever. Do you know how much energy it takes to throw that level of temper tantrum? To get your family to move an international vacation? Like, I aged 2.5 years throwing that temper tantrum. I aged my parents 2.5 years putting on that performance. And like the ungrateful brat I was, I would have cried the entire time we were in fucking Turks and Caicos. They had to move the entire trip, and I would have. And like, what did I get for giving that much of myself to that temper tantrum? What did my parents get for being on the receiving end of all that from my trauma? I got lies. I was rewarded with lies. Lies were my only reward. Like, my temper tantrum, it was equivalent to a Category 4 hurricane. Like, Hurricane Sandy can't hold a fucking candle, New York people, remember? Hurricane Sandy kept me out of school for 10 days without power for over 2 weeks, and that still has nothing on the temper tantrum that I threw to go to this premiere. But I thought this performance of mine was worth it. I thought it would be worth it because I was told, need my coffee, like I'm getting worked up. I was told I would walk the red carpet, the same one that the boys were walking. I thought the cells on my shoes might intermix with the cells on their shoes. That's what I was told, okay? That didn't happen. That didn't happen. They ran out of time or some dumbass excuse like that. They ran out of time, so that didn't happen, no red carpet. But it was okay. It was okay because the premiere was excellent and I was still looking forward to what I was told would happen after the premiere. After the premiere, we were supposed to go to the after premiere party, like the after party for the premiere. This very same one the boys were going to, which we did. We went, except we were on one floor in one room, while One Direction was on another floor in another room. There was a stupid fucking balcony that one time they came out and like waved to us like the serfs we were while they were up there in their VIP room. Like, they looked down at the plebeians below like, hi. It was terrible. And that was not in the fine print because you best believe this bitch read the fine print, okay? We were told that we would go to the same party, and technically we did, except they literally had curtains. So we couldn't see the boys while they were partying or whatever. We couldn't even see them. They had curtains. Like, at one point, they opened the curtains and like waved at us. Harry Styles threw a t-shirt and I caught it. I think that's why I've always liked him, even when all this happened, because he threw that t-shirt and I caught it. And I was like, he cares about me. But that was it. That was it. Other than that, nothing. We were down there at this party, it like all us fans, all us little tweens in our Charlotte Russe dresses and our heels that none of us knew how to walk in because we were in the 3rd fucking grade. And it was all for nothing. I sobbed the entire drive home. And that was the day I said goodbye to these boys, which I think my mom, while she was driving us home, was like, fuck yes. I honestly think that was probably what happened. I only let One Direction back into my heart when I started seeking nostalgia when I was like 20 years old. That is only when I let them back into my heart. Now I love to run and work out to old One Direction. I've rewatched their movie. Liam's death, I took very hard. Like R.I.P. Liam Payne, that's been hard on me. I've thought about him a lot. And you know, I always rode for Harry Styles. I will always ride for that man. That never went away. But now we are back in our love for One Direction. And I think Liam would be really happy about that. This podcast episode is making me sound like such a fangirl. I promise I'm not. It's just One Direction, Taylor Swift, and Harry Styles. It is no one else. That is it. It is just the three of them. Moral of the One Direction story. You're probably like, I thought this podcast episode was about Taylor Swift. Why are we talking about One Direction? The moral of this One Direction story is that I wasn't expecting anything from this goddamn movie premiere of Taylor Swift because I know what that shit concert movie premiere is like. And to quote George Bush, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, you can't get fooled again. Have you seen that with George Bush? Oh my God, it is so funny. So George Bush, you can look it up. He has this video where he goes, we have a saying back in Texas. You fool me once, shame on me. You fool me, you can't get fooled again. He forgets what happens. So to quote George Bush, fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, you can't fool me again. Okay? That's how I felt in regards to Taylor. But anyway, back to her. They told those of us who were invited to not say anything online. So it wasn't like fans were communicating online, giving they're sharing their information. There were like 5 people who risked it by like going on TikTok and saying they were going, but like no one knew what was happening. And the main discourse in the community of the people I saw that were going was, what the fuck do we wear? Because were we walking the red carpet or were we just going to sit in a movie theater? Like, should I be wearing sweatpants, which is what I usually wear to the movie theater? Or should I be dressed up like I was for the One Direction movie premiere in my heels and that I now know how to walk in? Well, actually, no, because the balance center of my brain got damaged. So I actually still can't walk in heels. But okay, should I be dressed up like I was for the One Direction premiere in a Charlotte Russe dress and still not heels? This time we're foregoing the heels, but the same thing. So sweatpants, heel, like what do we wear? So no one knew what to expect. So the day before the premiere, the Grove in Los Angeles is set the fuck up. And I mean like it's huge. Like the Grove is shut down, stores are closed, red carpets everywhere. So Taylor Swift is definitely going to be at this premiere. Like Miss Swift is definitely showing up. We still don't know if we're going to the Grove because it's the day before and we're not finding out till 2 hours before, till a few hours before. But it's the Grove and Taylor Swift is going to be there. And honestly shocking that she had this premiere in LA because she famously doesn't like LA. And she has a song about her beloved New York City in which she literally refers to New York City as her, quote, true love. Like verbatim, that's what she calls it. So like shocking that she had it in LA, but I'm telling you, that's the universe. I'm the entire reason that Taylor Swift had her movie premiere in LA. It's because of me. It's because of me. The universe wanted to give me that. Like, everyone who met her, you got me to thank for it. But day of the premiere, us fans are emailed the location and it's the Grove. Holy shit. Hashtag confirmed. We are going to the actual premiere and Taylor Swift is going to be there. I'm set to watch a movie about Taylor Swift with Taylor Swift. This is going to be incredible. But again, like I'm thinking that we will at best see her walk by and pose for some paparazzi pics on the red carpet. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I still don't know if we're going to even graze the red carpet or if we're just going to be ushered into the movie theater seats. Like, I don't know. Get to the premiere, and it's like 250-ish fans around this barricade that circles a red carpet. and I get a spot behind someone who was like who was the first person from the barricade. So I'm like second person from the barricade. So I'm like, oh, I'll get a decent enough view of her. And I think she's going to come out, maybe like sign some things, take pictures with a few fans, but like, that's it. Like that's what I'm expecting. And that's more than enough. Like to be within 15 feet of Taylor fucking Swift, like that blessing. That's more than enough. This is alone is incredible. So while we're waiting for, I don't even know what we were waiting for, but while we were waiting, us fans were chatting. Some people were invited through Spotify. Some people were invited through Live Nation. Some people were invited through Taylor Nation. Those who were invited through Spotify only got to go to the movie premiere. They did, or the red carpet. They didn't get to go to both. Those of us who were invited through Taylor Nation, we got to go to both. And obviously, I'm in the top tier better group. That's the only thing that makes sense with my brand. If there's a first class and a second class, I am first class. And as I'm conversing with everyone, I'm hearing, I flew from Florida. I flew from Montana. I flew from Arizona. I'm like, I'm from 10 minutes away. I took a Lyft. Cost me $12 whole. So by this point, the whole being in the LA area, that reason for winning the lottery or whatever, that's not it at all. And then fans start asking me for like my accounts. So I give them my Instagram, which is just my personal Instagram. I hadn't started Gabriella rebranded yet. So I give them and they're like, no, not your personal account, like your fan account. And I was like, oh, I don't have a fan account. And they were like, then how are you invited? Turns out everyone was like DM'd invites, like all these fan accounts. And I was like, that wasn't invited through Spotify. That was invited via Taylor Nation. They were like DM'd. And I was like, I don't know. They emailed me. And everyone was like, they emailed you. You must be on some special list, which I am special. So that's not shocking. But how I got to this list, that I don't know. I don't know what this list is. I don't know how I'm on there. I don't know why I'm on there. So as I'm like, it hits me. I'm like, oh my God, the fucking email. I'm like, the fucking email. That's the only thing it could be. And then all of a sudden, Taylor just walks out while we're mid-discussion. No announcement or anything. She just like appears out of thin air, like the magical unicorn goddess that she is. And like everyone is like, oh my God, because all of a sudden she's just there. And she starts going around this red carpet barricade and she's taking a selfie with every single fan there. It doesn't matter if you're 5 people away from the barricade or right up against the barricade. She waits for like you guys to rotate and she takes a selfie with every single damn fan. She is so fucking good to her fans. Like no one loves her fans more than Taylor Swift. It's her priority. She ended a 6-year relationship about over her fans, basically. Like her fans come before everything. And like, of course she did a better job than One Direction. Like at their peak, they were 1/16th of where she is today. And that's because they never cared about their fans 1/16th as much. She's gotten to where she is because of how much she loves her fans and how much she supports people. Unlike One Direction, and why the fuck am I talking this much about One Direction? It's the trauma. And this podcast is about overcoming trauma, so it's appropriate. It's on theme. But again, back to Taylor. I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna meet fucking Taylor Swift. Like, it's finally happening. I did it. I made this fucking happen. Taylor Swift is going to hold my iPhone. Taylor Allison Swift, her fingerprint will be on my phone screen. And she's taking a selfie with everyone, but she's not talking to everyone because she's got like 45 minutes, okay? She knows the priority is pics or it didn't happen. And she's got like 45 minutes to meet all the fans because then she's got to go. She's got to go to the actual red carpet with like Beyonce, who rumor has it, I've heard might be a little bit more high profile than I. So she's got to get to that red carpet, do interviews or whatever your concert movie premiere shit is. I don't know. There's a to-do list, I imagine. So she's selfieing and going. She's a woman on a mission. And we're just there. And very clearly, every single fan wants to say something that's like, gonna get her attention or whatever. But like, so everyone, I'm on like this second half of the barricade, so the later half, and everyone is like brainstorming as we're waiting for her. Like, what are you going to say? Like, what are you going to say to her? Like, what are you going to say to try to get Taylor Swift's attention? And everyone's giving each other, like motivating each other, giving inspiring ideas. And my own brilliant idea enters stage left. And what I think is Taylor Swift. She's heard the most bizarre things from fans. She's met hundreds of thousands, maybe millions at this point, but I knew I had the one thing she had never heard before. I knew I had the one thing she'd never heard before. It's the same thing that I made the subject line of the email to the person that I emailed. And it got her attention. So why wouldn't it get Taylor Swift's? I mean, it's worth a shot. She's taking a selfie with this citizen on my left. I can literally see her pores. Spoiler alert, she doesn't have acne. And as she's turning to take a selfie with me, my heart's pounding. I'm overheating like I was talking about my PTSD from One Direction. I'm overheating. I'm about to hyperventilate. And I just squeal out, "You woke me up from a coma." And she stops, looks very confused, kind of horrified, shocked. And she just says, "What?" And as she's walking the red carpet of her concert movie, her ever-precedented record-setting tour, she pauses to unpack this, the coma girl. And like the spotlight's on me, everyone's looking at me, main character energy. And like in a panic, I ramble out everything about the yeet and the accident and the coma and the music and the instrumental and the ICU release and the video. And she replies, "Thank you, but that was not me." And the medical care and the surgeries and the therapies and all that fun stuff and the rehab. And then she was like, "That was all you. That was all you." Literally, Taylor Swift goes, "That was not me. That was all you. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here." And then, see, Taylor Swift met me. I didn't meet Taylor Swift. Taylor Allison Swift asked to hug me. She asked to hug me, okay? She asked to hug me. She didn't hug anyone else at this premiere. She asked to hug me. And obviously, I like koala'd her over the barricade. She's like, "Can I hug you?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, oh my God, it was incredible. So as she's walking away, post-hug, I'm like, "This was the best day of my life." And she turns around and goes, she like brushes off the person that she's supposed to be taking a selfie with. "Sorry, you're not as cool as me." But she like turns around and she goes, "No, the best day of your life was when you woke up." I don't remember that day, so I wouldn't say it was the best day of my life. But she goes, "No." And I loved that. Amazing. So because I don't remember that day, the best day of my life is for sure when I met Taylor Swift. And the moral of the story, unlike the more of One Direction's, which was purely about negativity and betrayal and thievery, the more of Taylor Swift's is out of the worst thing in my life came the best thing in my life. Thus far. I don't give a fuck about my wedding when that happens. The day I met Taylor Swift trumps that. Like, it trumps that so much. Like, think about how many people in their lifetimes get married. Think about how many people have weddings. Think about how many people meet Taylor Swift because they were hit by a car. Like, she makes weddings look basic. And, you know, weddings are basic, but what's not basic is a coma. And comas are rather unique. And because of that, my story was so obscenely horrifying enough that it was distinct enough to stand out to the most famous woman in the world's team. Mayhaps because it was dramatically gruesome, mayhaps because it was terrifyingly startling, mayhaps because it was like, wow, this girl's really milking this for everything she's got, which, yes, I am doing. But I deserve to do that. And meeting Taylor Swift should be the bare minimum reward for relearning how to walk, talk, and eat. I think everyone who wakes up from a coma should get to meet Taylor Swift. But I don't view my story as a tragedy or heartbreak. I view it as something to draw sympathy from other people. And I don't view my existence or my life or my experience as a loss or struggle. I view myself as doing the fucking most. I view myself as a winner. Like, guys, I get what I damn want. It may take time, but in the end, I always get there. I view myself as being the best, and Taylor Swift agrees. And the note that I'll leave you on. At this point, you're probably like, okay, cool. But you don't know for sure you were invited because of the PR Wet Dream video. Like, this is a beautiful, very spiritual story, but you don't know that that for sure was the reason you were invited. This could be that, like your story that you strung together to reflect spirituality could be a tall tale, an Aesop's fable, if you will. Well, Taylor came into all the theaters. We were the Grove, it's like 14 theaters, and we were all in them to talk to us a little bit before the movie premiere. And we were in assigned seating. You were in a ticketed seat. You were assigned what row and what seat number you were at. And Taylor Swift came into everyone and she told us that every single one of us was specifically invited because we did something that stood out to her team. They saw us doing something on social media that stood out to her team. And I looked down at my assigned seat in the handicap section of the movie theater, and I said, yep, it was the fucking email. So there you have it. Yeah, Taylor Swift is a fan of Gabriella Rebranded. She would probably love this podcast. Win most, lose some. That's a major win. That is a major win. But look at all I had to lose to have that win. Like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, do all the things. Look at how much I had to lose to have that win. This has been Gabriella Rebranded. Win most, lose some.